Today's episode is brought to you by Proud Wolves. It is Proud Wolves' mission to make sure children all over the world have free access to cultural activities and sport. Proud Wolves helps organizations to change their income models and stops them relying on membership fees for children. Find Proud Wolves on Facebook for more information. Now, get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week.
Goeiedag, enchantée, and welcome to this week's episode of A24 Presents All-NBA Team of the Week. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the end of the regular season. Usually, these would be the most boring weeks of the season. Everybody would be pining for the playoffs. But this year is different. Teams are ramping up for a final push to secure their spots on the ladder. There are still plenty of teams with a chance to make the playoffs or the playing games. We have seen some amazing performances this week around the NBA courts, not in the least Steph Curry, who's had a record-breaking month of April. He scored 13 30-point games in a month, breaking Kobe's 9-year-old record of 12 30-point games in a single month. Of those 13 games, he had 11 of them in a row. He finished the month of April with 96 made threes, not only the record for most threes in a month, but that's more three-pointers made in 1 month than Larry Bird made in a whole season when he led the league with 93s made back in 86-87. Unbelievable. Other special performances included Kevin Durant, who averaged more than 30 points per game over the last 3 games this week, proving he is ready for the playoffs. Julius Randle pushed his Knicks to the 4th spot in the East with a fantastic run in the month of April. DeRozan and Butler are keeping the playoff dreams for San Antonio and Miami alive, and Michael Porter Jr. has stepped up in Denver, almost making people forget the Nuggets have to play without Jamal Murray. All of these guys have been exceptional, yet they have not made this week's selection. Get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week.
Before we move on, I'd like to talk to you about A24. A24 was created by Proud Wolves with the intention to provide children with an opportunity to learn and play basketball at their own pace and completely free. A24 created different courses to improve your basketball skills that are available on the website, but our real mission is to help disadvantaged children by building and upgrading basketball courts around the world, and to give them basketball gear to play with. Come and find our website and please buy a t-shirt to support our cause. Now back to All-NBA Team of the Week. Pick one!
Our first pick of the week is Russell Westbrook from the Washington Wizards. Westbrook is a walking triple-double. In 3 games so far this week, he averaged 18 points, 13 assists and 14 rebounds. At the time of recording, the Wizards were still playing against Dallas, and he was well on track to add another triple-double to his list. That list is getting really impressive. He has now 177 triple-doubles for his career, only 4 less than Oscar Robertson. With 9 games left in the regular season, he can quite easily make it to the top of that list by the end of this season. He already recorded more than 30 triple-doubles this season. It's the 3rd time in his career that he did this. Only Oscar Robertson and Will Chamberlain were able to make over 30 triple-doubles in a season, but they could only do it once. Russell's form is back, and just in time for the Wizards. After a rough season, the Wizards are chasing a spot in the playing game. They currently sit in 10th and hold a respectable lead on the Bulls, who have dropped to 11th. They are chasing the Pacers and Charlotte for the 8th spot, which would give them a second chance to get into the playoffs. With a 9-1 record in the last 10 games, the Wizards have the best run in the league, alongside the Knicks recently, and are on the heels of their faltering competitors. Besides Westbrook, Washington can rely on their superstar Bradley Beal. Beal is still in the running to be the league's leading scorer, less than half a point behind Curry. Both players are finally starting to find each other and have turned around all the negative news around them earlier in the season. Rui Hachimura is slowly gaining more confidence, and new recruit Dan Gafford is playing much better in Washington than he was in Chicago. They will need everyone on their best game in the final stretch to get to the playoffs. But at least they have a chance. That was different a few weeks ago.
Pick 2!
Our second pick of the week is Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the best team in the league. Nobody, not even Suns supporters, would have dared to make that claim before the bubble last season. It was there, in that bubble, that the Suns showed the first time to the world that they are a force to be reckoned with. They won 8 games in a row, and only just missed out on the playing game. The team of young talents, led by Booker, was ready to take the next step. The front office brought in veterans Chris Paul and Jay Crowder to support the young cast in taking the next step, and it proved to be successful. At 35 years old, Chris Paul is playing better than ever. Maybe not statistically, but he has never been more important for a team on and off the court. He is allowing Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton to play, score, and most importantly, to improve, all while winning games. These last few games, he has really stepped it up, deciding games at the stretch with some winning plays, like against the Knicks and against the Clippers. Paul has never won a championship in his career. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees these Phoenix Suns as his opportunity to finally get some silverware in his cupboard. In the final years of his career, Chris Paul has made it his mission to improve every team he plays on. In Houston, he dragged Harden's butt to the Western Conference Final, and they would have won those if he didn't end up injuring his Achilles in Game 5. In OKC, he took a team destined for the bottom of the league all the way to the playoffs, and nearly caused an upset in the first round against his former team, the Rockets. Now he's in Phoenix, a team that finished 10th in the Western Conference last season, and he has led them to the number 1 seed in the most difficult conference in the league. Devin Booker is the best player on this team, but Chris Paul is the engine that makes everything tick.
Pick 3!
Our third pick of the week is Kevin Porter Jr. from the Houston Rockets. Coming out of the same draft class as Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, Kevin Porter Jr. is not far behind these two when it comes to talent. Yet, he dropped all the way to the 30th pick when the Cleveland Cavaliers took him off the board. He didn't get many opportunities to prove himself, and he had a fairly invisible rookie season. He didn't play at all at the start of this season, due to personal reasons. When he was finally ready to return, he kicked up a stink in the Cleveland locker room and was immediately traded away to Houston for next to nothing. In Houston, they sent him down to the G League, where he led the league in points per game. He was rewarded with a spot in the starting 5 when he returned. KPJ making it to the NBA wasn't a given. In fact, him making it to the draft alone was half a miracle. He's had a troubled childhood, to say the least. I don't have enough time to explain everything in detail, but Paolo Uggetti from The Ringer wrote a great article about him back in 2019. Long story short, KPJ lost his dad when he was only 4 years old, making it very difficult for his mum to look after him. KPJ grew up on the bad streets of Seattle, quite literally, and if it wasn't for Jamal Crawford and his basketball coaches, he would have never made it out. His background is making it hard for KPJ to adjust to life in the spotlight, and he has already made plenty of mistakes in his short career. The last one being fined $50,000 for breaking COVID protocols when visiting a strip club in Houston. But KPJ is finally finding himself on the court. In 23 games so far for the Rockets, he's averaging 16.7 points and 6.4 assists per game. The big point guard has a very similar playing style to James Harden, something they like to see in Houston, and he knows how to score. He proved that against Milwaukee this week when he became the youngest player ever with a 50-point, 10-assist double-double. KPJ can turn himself into the next big star in Houston. He just needs to concentrate on his craft now and leave everything else at the door.
Pick 4!
Our fourth pick of the week is Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics. Without Tatum, the Celtics would be a lottery team. It's as simple as that. The Celtics need Tatum to play out of his skin this season, and they are still not sure of a playoff spot. Even though he has barely missed a game since his return from getting COVID back in January, he regularly complained about not feeling 100%. But since the All-Star break, Tatum has been unleashed. In the month of April, he broke his career high of 41 3 times. He scored 44 against the Warriors, 53 against the Timberwolves, and on Friday he scored 60 against the Spurs in an incredible comeback for the Celtics. Of course, we can't credit everything to Tatum on his own. His teammate Jaylen Brown is probably the only player in the NBA that can challenge Julius Randle for Most Improved Player. And Kemba Walker seems to have found his Charlotte form again, although he hasn't played in the last 3 games. The Celtics are looking for a strong closing run that will seal their playoff spot. They are currently in 6th spot, tied with Miami, but only half a game behind the Hawks. They can still make it to the 4th spot, but they can also drop back to the playing game. Boston can't afford to lose. This is Tatum's 4th year in the league, and in the last three, he made it to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. He has been the man on this team since he was drafted. In 2018, LeBron and the Cavaliers were too strong for Tatum and the Celtics, and in 2020, Butler and the Heat sent Boston home in 6 games. Tatum is only 22 years old, but he is ready to win. He will be deeply disappointed if Boston doesn't make it past the conference finals this season, but they will have to be able to lean on more players than just Tatum.
5.
Our fifth pick of the week is Nikolajokic from the Denver Nuggets. When Jamal Murray went down with a season-ending ACL injury in the middle of April, I believed it was game over for the Nuggets. Up to that point, they were the most likely outsider to trump the LA teams to make it to the finals, but they would need their whole squad, at full strength. On top of that, they lost his replacement Monty Morris only a week later with a hamstring injury. It was obvious that the Nuggets were going to struggle to even keep their playoff spot. And the teams below Denver in the standings, especially the ones in the 7th to 10th spot, were getting excited. The whole league could see it happen, except for the Denver Nuggets themselves. Head coach Mike Malone looked at Michael Porter Jr. to step up and contribute more to the scoring for the Nuggets. He didn't even flinch. MPJ has been waiting impatiently for the call to be more involved in the scoring. In his last 10 games, he only had one game where he scored less than 20 points. Aaron Gordon has really settled in nicely and is very happy to contribute where necessary. Rookie Campazzo is getting more confident every game. But the main man on this team has been and always will be Nikolajokic. Jokic has played on MVP level all season and is showing no signs of slowing down. The big man is in control of the ball in offense and dominates the paint in defense. He denied Zion with a game-winning block in the final second of the game against the Pelicans. He has improved so much this season that he should be the first player to win both Most Improved and Most Valuable Player trophies in one season. Denver looks to hold on to home court advantage, and even without Jamal Murray, they might be the biggest surprise of the year if they can come out of the West this year.
This is our All-NBA Team of the Week. Please share our podcast and give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, you can contact the show on 824office@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Ballers out.